You're at a jazz club and the music is swinging hot. You see a few different singers get up there and do their thing, and you're wondering, what is going on? Most likely you are witnessing a vocal jam session. Jam sessions look like a lot of fun, and they can be, but there are a few things you'll need to know before you throw yourself on stage. Hi, I'm Monique B Thomas, and you're listening to episode 29, where I'll be discussing the ins and outs of singing at a jazz vocal jam. I'll talk to you about what a vocal jam session is, what to expect at a jam session, how to navigate one without losing an eyeball, how to know if you're ready to participate, and why you should or should not participate. Let's get into it. So what is a vocal jam session? Well, there's usually a house band. A house band is the group of musicians that usually play for all the singers the entire night, and they're usually paid to be there. Typically, you'll have piano, upright bass, and drums. Sometimes in place of the piano, you'll have a guitarist. Other configurations do exist, but it is most common for jazz to have that trio that I mentioned before. Now, a jazz vocal jam is dedicated to giving singers the opportunity to sing, whereas other jam sessions are for all musicians. So let's say that a jazz vocal jam is more singer-friendly. Other jam sessions will have a lot more musicians, and which can sometimes mean less opportunities for singers to actually sing. It also may mean that you won't necessarily sing that much and might have to endure long solos, and the accompanying trio might change as pianists or bassists or drummers might want to sit in too. There's often a sign-up list. Depending on if there's a lot of people, you'll most likely only get to sing one song, sometimes more if they like you and or if there's not a lot of people. So what is expected of you? Well, it's expected that you know several standard jazz tunes. You know what key you are going to want to sing it in. You know how to count off the tune in the right tempo and rhythmic feel. And you also know how to pick up the head or melody once all the solos are done and how to end the tune. Now let's talk about how to prepare for a jam session. I would say to prepare for a jam session, you need at least a list of 10 jazz standards, mostly swing, but that would include some blues, maybe one or two ballads, maybe one or two Latin tunes, and why not an up-tempo or rhythm changes, especially if you know how to scat. Make sure that you know which keys you sing them in and try to avoid unusual keys like B major, F sharp major, or A major, etc. You'll need to be comfortable with talking down the chart. Talking down the chart is what happens as soon as you get on stage. You say, "Hi, my name is blank. I'd like to sing blank in the key of blank, and I'd like you to play blank for the intro." This literally takes only 30 seconds, and the clarity with which you talk down the chart will greatly affect how well the musicians accompany you. So how do you know if you're ready? Well, you know you're ready to participate in a jam when you have at least 10 songs, like I mentioned before, that you know by heart, and when you can talk down the chart without any problems. This means you will have practiced this beforehand and are comfortable doing it. Now keep in mind, if the song before you is at the same tempo or time feel that you're proposing, the band leader, often the guitarist or pianist, might ask you to change the tempo or time feel. You've got to be comfortable with that. Remember, jazz is improvisational and it is a team sport. It's not just about your comfort, but the comfort of everyone up there. Being able to sing the songs on your list in different tempos and time feels is a great exercise that will prepare you for almost any situation. There are many times when I've counted off a tune very clearly, but for some reason, it's not being played the way I counted it. We have to be ready for everything. So if that is going to throw you off completely, you might need more practice before getting up there. You know you're ready when you've already played these tunes with other live musicians before. Now, I know that backing apps like iRoll Pro are really useful when you don't play piano or guitar, but nothing will teach you how to sing jazz better than playing with real live musicians, because every time they play a song, it will be slightly different, and you need to adjust to that rather than singing exactly the same interpretation as if you were singing to a karaoke track. This means you're listening to the musicians and reacting in real time, singing, or playing jazz is truly like a conversation where everyone has some space. The conversation is interesting and goes smoothly when everyone is listening and contributing in a meaningful way rather than just talking over everyone. You're also ready to sit in on a jam session when your nervous system will allow you to get through the song without completely losing your technique or your memory. Just for info, you are not obliged to scat. You can simply sing the melody, or what we call the head, then lay back during the solos, and then sing the outhead or the last melody. That's fine. It's absolutely fine, and it's quite common. If, however, you do scat, then by all means, show your stuff, but be mindful of time and the number of other soloists that are on stage with you. No one enjoys it when someone is a chorus hog and takes too many solos. It is the equivalent of dominating a conversation and not allowing others to contribute. So here's a few things that I think you should do before you decide to participate in a jazz vocal jam or any jam. When students ask me if they should participate in jams or not, my response is almost always yes. See, I think that as soon as you have a handle on your basic technique and you have enough of the right repertory, as I mentioned earlier, you should get out there. I think it is important to know why you're going to your jam before you do it. Firstly, you'll want to jam to test your vocal technique and your musicianship skills in a live setting. There's only so much that you can learn from a class setting. On a live stage with musicians you may or may not have met, anything can and will happen, and how you deal with it is going to determine what kind of musician you will become. You want to make sure that your basic knowledge is strong enough to survive that situation. Another reason to participate in a jam is when you're an advanced singer and you're looking for work. If you're killing it, but you need some work at the moment, or you want to meet some new musicians, go to a jam session and set that place on fire with your vocals. If you're as good as you think you are, trust me, you'll get work. People always, and I do mean always, notice great singers because unfortunately, there aren't that many showing up at jams. Now, it might take a couple of sessions for people to catch on, but if you're good, be prepared to take down numbers or give yours out and also know what kind of work you're looking for. This shows that you're a pro. Things to ponder might be, are you looking to put together a trio or a duo or another type of group? Are you okay doing private affairs such as weddings and corporate functions? Also, you need to know what your price is because people will want to know that too. I think one of the most important things you should do before deciding to participate in a jam is to check out the band and the atmosphere. Not all jams are worth your time. I cannot stress this enough. I've had so many students go sit on a jam session where the musicians were not very good and the setting wasn't very professional. They sat in anyway, and in their next lesson, they wanted to quit singing altogether. As soon as they talked about quitting, I said, "You went to a poor jam session, didn't you?" And they all said, "Yes." Make sure that the band plays to your liking. Do you get inspired from the way the band is playing? Does it make you want to sing? You also want to check that the sound system is decent. Some jam sessions have the worst sound systems, so even if you sound amazing to yourself on stage, the audience might not have the same experience as you at all. Or the sound might be so bad on stage that you simply can't perform to the best of your ability. I need you to know that you deserve better. If you're new to jamming, I would check out the jam session one or more times before deciding to sit in. This way, you get a true picture of how that jam session functions, and you can decide if it will be beneficial for you to sit in. Now, here are some special considerations. A few things to think about before you take the jam plunge. The band might ask you to change your song and or keys, so you'll need to be flexible and you'll need to have one or two backup songs in your head immediately because the rollover from song to song is usually seconds, not minutes. The other thing is to listen to the other people before you. Someone might play the song or similar song that you want to play right before, and the leader might ask you to play something different, so you'll have to be flexible there as well. Oh, and by the way, if this is a jazz jam, don't ask to sing songs that are not jazz. There are other jam sessions for that, and this is not the place for it. If it's not jazz, don't ask. And if you're not sure, then you're probably not ready to participate yet. That's okay. Your time will come. You need to know that there is proper etiquette that you're expected to know when you participate. Knowing this etiquette can determine if you're allowed to jam again. Please note that usually there is a leader of a jam, and they are the gatekeeper to this particular jam. If they like you, it'll be easier for you to sing in a future jam session. Now, I'm not suggesting that you change your behavior to get in their good graces. I'm simply saying that if you know the unwritten rules, things are more likely to go well for you, and you might make a new friend, gain some band members, or maybe even get some work. One thing to avoid is playing tunes that are often overplayed and therefore lack any sort of imagination. If you call tunes on the following list, most musicians will assume that you haven't been playing for that long and they might not want to play with you. Songs like Autumn Leaves, Summertime, Lullaby of Birdland, Fever, and The Girl from Ipanema, etc. Those songs, great as they may be, a lot of seasoned musicians just don't want to play them. They've already played them many times, and so many singers have massacred them at jam sessions. Now, the caveat to that is if you know that you can sing it in an interesting way and you'll kill it, then you might be able to do it. Personally, I sing Autumn Leaves at jam sessions because I like to solo over it, and it always goes well. But if you're just starting out, I wouldn't chance it. If you've been watching a few sessions, you'll begin to see the types of songs that are being called, and then you can make a better decision about what you'd want to play in this particular jam session. You'll get a feel for how the band accompanies different singers and what they're good at and what skills they might be lacking. One example is playing tunes in 3/4 or 6/8 or sometimes even ballads. I've seen some great musicians play like amateurs when they are outside of their comfort zone. Make sure that you have a good feel for their musical strengths and weaknesses before you decide a tune or before you decide to sing at all. Don't assume just because the house band is up there that they are perfect and don't make mistakes. They are human, and they absolutely do make mistakes, as you're liable to make mistakes at some point. Now, if something goes wrong on the bandstand or you don't understand what's going on, immediately lay out, which means to stop singing for a bar or two, until you can find your spot. Now, usually the chordal player, piano or guitarist, will help you find your spot. If you lay out, you're more likely to be able to get back in quickly, minimizing the damage. Don't worry, it happens to everyone. Just be graceful about it. Lastly, no matter what happens on the bandstand, always, always, always thank them. Your attitude on the bandstand is just as important as how you sing. If you're trying to get work, it's best that you're polite and easygoing. While I've dedicated this episode to jazz vocal jams, many of these rules apply to jams in other genres of music. I think the major takeaways are these. Properly prepare your music choices and be flexible. Be able to quickly talk down the chart. Always keep a professional attitude. But most of all, don't forget to go up there, have fun, and show us your special interpretation of these songs. They have been played millions of times, and listeners want to know what kind of special sauce you can put on it. I really hope that this has been helpful to you and that you have a better sense of whether or not you're ready to do a vocal jam. This may seem like a lot to take in, but I aim to make sure that you go out there and kill it while making sure to protect your inner artist from crappy jam sessions. All right, if you're liking what I'm throwing down, please follow and leave a review wherever it is you're listening to this. If you want to hear more from me, don't hesitate to sign up for my newsletter. I'll put all that information in the show notes. I want you to have a beautiful week. Musically, Monique. Hey, that rhymes.